Hey Grace Kids, we're going to be talking today about how Jethro helped Moses because Moses needed help to lead God's people. And we're going to be finding this from Exodus 18, so if you want to read that with your parents or if you can read it on your own, that's great. But be able to read that chapter so you can understand the basic gist of what's going on here. And so we find our verses for these set of lessons, Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39. It says there, Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Okay, and so this is the basic way for you to be able to live your lives. Love God with everything that you have, and love others, okay? And these are the two greatest commandments for you to have. Now Jesus gives a totally new commandment. It doesn't get rid of these commands, but there's a new commandment that he gives in John, but we're not going to be talking about that today. But it is love the church, all right? But this is love your neighbor as yourself and love God with everything that you have. So what is God like? God is holy. God is caring, although that's not part of the answer for today. This big question is God is holy, good, and loving. So caring is part of that. Caring is part of that, loving and good. So that's the answer that we've been giving for the big question of these lessons, this set of lessons. What is God like? God is holy, good, and loving. All right, so what's going on? They are camping. The Israelites are camping near the mountain of God that Moses, if you remember several lessons back, Moses found this burning bush, remember? And God says, I'm going to prove it to you that I'm going to be with you and everything's going to be good by bringing you back to this same mountain after you've rescued my people, after you've led my people out of Egypt. And that's exactly where they are right now. But guess what? Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, that means Moses' wife's dad, okay, is actually living near here. And Moses' family is actually with Jethro, okay? So he's living near this mountain, and he's in Midian. So he heard about the big rescue, how they got out of Egypt, and that they're there. And so they all came to see Moses. Now, they sent a message ahead, and Moses is all pumped. Can you imagine all this time without his family, without his children, without his wife? Can you imagine being without your family for a while? I mean, this is where he's at, and he gets to see his family again. He's so excited. So he runs out to meet them. And he gives Jethro an update. He says, this is all the things. God's provided here. God's provided there. And yes, it's been kind of crazy, but God delivered us from the Egyptians. Here's the plagues. All this stuff, he's giving them the update. Okay? It's kind of like a family reunion. Sometimes you're going over, at Christmas time or Thanksgiving. You go and visit relatives out of state, or they come and visit you, and you're like, oh, this is what's happened to me lately, da-da-da-da-da. And this is what he's doing. Okay? So he's giving the update to Jethro, and Jethro is just praising God. He's so thankful for what God's doing. The next day, they wake up, and Moses sat down to judge his people. Now, what does this mean? That people who had disagreements, who needed help living their lives, who needed some correction, needed some discipline, needed some guidance, they would come to Moses, and they would just line up all day long, and they'd come to him with all their problems. And guess what? That would take forever, and it's impossible to be able to help everyone. Okay, it's just impossible for me as a human being, for you as a human being. We can't help everybody, but we can try and we can do our best. And this is exactly what Moses is doing. So he's trying his best in order to help lead the people. Jethro sees this. And he says, this isn't good. This isn't good. This is an all-day event for you, Moses. All-day event. You can't work it like this. it is too big of a people group for one man to be able to lead. And so he says, you should just speak to God for the Israelites, teach them God's laws, okay? Show them how to live by your example. But choose some men that you trust to be over smaller groups. So men over the tens and the hundreds and the thousands. You just want to group it up to where they're responsible, to where you're spreading out the load of work, okay? Not all on one person's shoulders. And then if there's something that's like super important, super big, that needs to be taken care of by you, go ahead and do that. You know, Moses thought this was a good idea. So he does it. He sets it up. And Jethro returned. He's done his job. He's helped his son-in-law do his job. And you say, what's the point of all this? And what's the Christ connection? Well, see, Christ came and he offered us salvation. And if we're saved, we are classified as the family of God. Now, I don't know about you, but your family needs to come together and balance the workload of the family. That means everybody has a job to do, right? People need to clean their rooms. People need to wash the dishes. People need to vacuum, clean the bathrooms, get the painting done. Everybody's got a job to do. You say, what does this have to do with God's family? It's because we all need help in order to do the job that God has brought us to do. And it's only through Jesus that we get to be a family. It's through Jesus that we get to be a family and be able to have that connection to help each other out. What a blessing to be able to have the family of God to help us through issues, to encourage us, to even help us during this time. And even though we're all at home and can't get out much, we still get to encourage. I mean, I've gotten cards, I've gotten phone calls. I've delivered some things. I've done some things myself, and it's just encouraging. I've delivered milk, and people just smile. They like it, okay? They like just the encouragement, and that's what we get to be for each other, right? So let's summarize it all up. Let's ask a few questions. Micah, Carson, start out with a few guys. Who was Jethro? Well, maybe you got it right. Maybe you got it. He was the father-in-law of Moses. Okay? What was the problem that he saw? Riley. Maya. What was the problem that he saw? He saw the fact that there was too many things for Moses to be able to handle on his own. Too many people. So what suggestion did he give? Troy? Zaya? What suggestion? He gave the suggestion of balancing out, find a few trustworthy good men to be able to help balance out the workload, to carry the load with Moses. All right? What do we need help with? Well, we need help with lots of things. But guess what? Spiritually speaking, you have parents that can help you understand more about God. You have a pastor that's teaching you every single day now. Wow. Giving out these YouTube videos and to give you more understanding, a different perspective. There's all kinds of things that we need help with. I need help with. I need encouragement. Sometimes I get some rough news that I just need somebody to say it's going to be okay. And I know it's going to be okay, but things are still emotional. We still need just a helping hand. We still need help. So how can you help others? Well, think of that. Maybe that'll be your job for today. How can you help others? Spiritually, you could tell them about Jesus. Physically, you can do some chores around the house. Or maybe you can go rake your neighbor's leaves that they forgot to rake last fall. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. What are some things that you can do when you feel all alone? Call somebody, message somebody. Say, hey, I just feel like I'm alone right now. I just need to say hi. That's okay. That's okay. We all feel that way sometimes. And you could be able to get the help that you have because you have a family. If you are a child of God, if you're saved, you have a family of God to be able to go cling to. And that's awesome. God provides that for us. So, what's our activity for today? And you say, well, this isn't fun. Maybe it will be. Go and ask your parents. Say, what is something that I can do to help balance out the workload around here? Can I wash a few dishes? Can I do some vacuuming? Maybe you should just clean your room without mom telling you to do it. Do your homework without mom telling you to do it. How can you help balance out the workload at your place? And then when you're able to come back to church, how can you help and encourage other people? How can you help balance out the workload of the church and just being there for each other and encouraging, at potlucks, being able to give silverware to people, whatever it might be. Figure out a way that you can help others be who God called them to be. All right? Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you have a great day. And hopefully you'll be able to see the truth behind what we've talked about today. We'll talk to you later.